The sun beat down on the old gym roof as the crowd gathered around the makeshift boxing ring. It was fight night in the inner city, and people had come not just for the match, but for the spectacle. The place buzzed with energy, cheers, laughter, trash talk, and the scent of sweat. Popcorn and cheap cologne filled the air. The ring sat in the center of the gym like a stage. Its ropes faded, the mat stained from years of battles and broken dreams. But tonight wasn't about any professional title. No. Tonight was about Reggie Razor Knox, the undefeated street champion, known more for his mouth than his humility. Reggie was built like a machine. Muscles rippled under his sleeveless hoodie as he bounced in place, his gloves already on, his grin wide and cocky. People called him the king of concrete because no one had ever made him fall. His fights weren't just victories, they were humiliations for anyone who dared to stand across from him. And now, after knocking out his latest opponent in less than one round, Reggie was still hungry for more attention, more cheers, more power. That's when he saw the boy. Malik stood at the back of the gym, near the shadows, wearing torn jeans, a faded t-shirt, and no shoes. His eyes were fixed on the ring, not in fear, but in silent curiosity. He looked no older than 14, small, thin, alone. Reggie smirked and pointed at him. "You there?" "Yeah, you with the bird legs. You want to fight?" The crowd turned to see who he was talking to. Laughter erupted. Some people whistled. Others shook their heads. "Man, leave the kid alone," someone muttered. "He's just a baby." Reggie wasn't backing down. He leaned over the ropes and shouted louder. "I'm serious. Let's give this boy a shot at glory. Come on, little man. You want to be famous?" Malik didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just started walking forward. His steps were slow, steady. The crowd hushed as he moved closer. Some people whispering, some filming on their phones. A few adults tried to stop him. "Kid, don't. He'll kill you." But Malik kept walking. And without saying a word, he climbed up into the ring. No gloves, no coach, no shoes, just him. Reggie burst out laughing. "Oh, this is gold. Somebody record this. I want this moment on my profile tonight." The referee looked unsure. He was an older man with a deep scar above his right eyebrow, a man who had seen many young fighters come and go. He hesitated, then leaned toward Malik. "Son, are you sure about this?" Malik nodded once. The ref turned to Reggie. "You understand? This is just for show. You touch him too hard, and it's over." "Got it?" Reggie raised both hands and grinned. "Scout's honor." The bell rang. Malik didn't move. He stood in the center, fists at his sides. Reggie circled him slowly, dancing, smirking, taunting. "What's your name, kid?" No answer. Too scared to talk. "That's fine. I'll do all the talking for both of us." Reggie lunged forward with a fake punch to the shoulder. Malik didn't even flinch. The crowd chuckled, unsure what they were watching. A prank? A dare? A street stunt? Reggie threw a light jab toward Malik's chest. This time, Malik moved fast. He stepped to the side with lightning speed, and Reggie's glove sliced through air. The crowd made a sound, a collective "oh." Reggie blinked. "Okay, lucky dodge." He came again. 2 jabs, then a hook. Malik ducked once, twice, then leaned back just in time. No hit connected. His body moved like he wasn't guessing, like he knew where every punch would land. The crowd started murmuring. Phones were now held up high. People leaned forward. This was no joke. Reggie's smile faded. He charged with a real punch, now a right hook, meant to end it. But Malik ducked under and did something nobody expected. He punched back. Not wild, not desperate. One clean jab to the ribs. Not strong, but precise. Reggie's body jerked back from the shock. His eyes widened. He took 2 steps back. "What the?" Malik lowered his hand again. Still no words. Still no smile. The gym was silent now. Reggie shook his head, angry. He ran forward and tried to grab Malik. Malik slipped under his arm like smoke and spun around him. He stood at Reggie's back now, completely unharmed. The crowd exploded. "What is this kid?" Someone shouted. "He's not normal." A man in the crowd, gray hair, tracksuit, worn shoes, stood up slowly. His eyes narrowed as he watched Malik's movement. His lips parted in shock. "I know that style," he whispered. "That boy. He fights like Rashid." The people near him turned. "Who's Rashid?" "The ghost," he replied. "He was the best. He vanished years ago." Inside the ring, Reggie was growing more furious. He threw punch after punch, each faster than the last. But Malik dodged them all, never striking, just moving with perfect rhythm. His feet glided. His breathing never changed. His face stayed calm. Then, Reggie faked left and went for a brutal right uppercut. Malik stepped inside the arc and jabbed. Reggie's head snapped slightly to the side. Not much power, but enough precision. A red mark bloomed on Reggie's cheek. The gym gasped again. The referee stepped in. "All right, this has gone far enough." Reggie roared. "No, he wants to play. Let's play." The ref tried to block him, but Reggie shoved him aside and charged again. Malik didn't move this time. He stood his ground. Reggie's fist flew toward his face full force. Malik ducked, turned, and hit Reggie in the stomach. A fast, sharp punch. Reggie doubled over. Not from pain but shock. Malik looked up at him, and for the first time he spoke soft but strong. You shouldn't laugh at people just because they look weak. Reggie raised his head. Furious, he swung wildly. Malik ducked again. Another jab to the ribs, another to the chest. Reggie lost balance and stumbled. The crowd erupted into screams. Some people were cheering for Malik now. Others were in pure disbelief. Someone shouted, "Get him, Malik." From the crowd, the older trainer stared harder. That's his son, Rashid's son, has to be in the ring. Reggie backed up into a corner, sweat pouring down his face. He'd never been touched like this by someone so small, so young, so calm. The bell rang. The referee rushed in and separated them. That's enough for this round. Both of you, corners, now. Reggie stormed to his side, furious, breathing hard. His coach barked at him, but Reggie didn't listen. His pride was cracked, and he didn't know how to fix it. Malik sat on the floor in his corner. No stool, no water bottle, no team. Just him. The older trainer made his way through the crowd toward the ring, eyes never leaving Malik. Malik looked up at him, and for the first time, showed a flicker of emotion, a flicker of pain. The man whispered under his breath, "Rashid, ... Your blood runs in this boy, but how?" As the crowd roared, as cameras flashed, as people began shouting Malik's name like he was a hero, one thing became clear to everyone watching. This wasn't just a fluke. This wasn't just luck. The boy in the ring wasn't just some barefoot kid from the street. He was a fighter, a real one, and whatever story he was hiding, whatever fire burned inside him, it wasn't finished yet. The crowd didn't laugh anymore. In fact, the entire gym had gone silent. Only one sound remained: the slow, deep breathing of a boy who had just stepped into the ring of giants and didn't fall. The gym was still buzzing from what had just happened. People who were laughing just minutes ago were now leaning forward, silent, confused, and amazed. Phones stayed in the air, filming every second. Something rare had happened, something that didn't make sense. A boy with no gloves, no training, and no team had just embarrassed the most feared street fighter in the city. Reggie Razor Knox sat in his corner, his mouth slightly open, his chest rising and falling like a drumbeat. His coach was yelling at him, trying to slap sense back into his swollen pride. "You're letting that street rat play with you. Get serious." But Reggie didn't respond. He was too busy staring across the ring. Malik sat on the floor in his corner, quiet and alone. He didn't seem tired. He didn't seem scared. He sat with his knees up, arms resting, his breathing steady. He had no coach, no towel, no one rubbing his shoulders. Just him. The old man, the one in the gray tracksuit who had recognized Malik's movements, stood by the ring now. He leaned on the ropes, watching the boy. Something about Malik's calm, his focus, his precision, it was impossible to ignore. The way he slipped punches, the way he placed jabs, the way he never showed fear, it reminded the old man of someone lost, someone great. Reggie's eyes narrowed. "He made me look weak," he muttered, in front of everyone, his fists clenched. The bell rang. Round 2. Reggie stood up fast, almost throwing off his stool. He charged like a bull. More games. This wasn't about making fun of a kid anymore. This was personal now. Malik stood as well, rising slowly, gracefully, like he had all the time in the world. No bounce in his steps, no showy movements, just a steady, quiet readiness. Reggie swung first, a wild right meant to crush. Malik dodged left. Another swing, Malik ducked. A third, Malik spun away. Each punch Reggie missed made the crowd louder. "Come on, Reggie," someone shouted. "What's happening, bro?" Reggie growled and launched a left hook. Malik caught it, not with his hand, but with his shoulder, and rolled out of reach. Then came a quick jab from the boy. Not heavy, but sharp. Right to Reggie's chin. Just enough to sting. Just enough to remind everyone Malik was still in control. Reggie backed off again, confused, frustrated. "How is he doing this?" he hissed. His legs felt heavy, his arms slower than usual, his head buzzed with rage. Malik kept walking forward, now not fast, not aggressive, but calm, confident, like he was measuring everything. And then, something happened that changed everything. Reggie roared and tried to grab Malik. He was done with punches. He wanted to slam this kid into the mat. But Malik twisted out of the grip, and unexpectedly his elbow hit Reggie's face. Not hard, but perfectly placed. Reggie stumbled backward. Blood dripped from his nose. The gym went silent again. The ref shouted, "Keep it clean," but he didn't stop the fight. Malik didn't move in. He stood back, letting Reggie recover. The mercy stunned everyone. Reggie wiped his nose and looked at the blood on his glove. His eyes went red, not from the blood but from shame. "You think this is over?" he spat. Malik didn't answer. Instead, he raised his fists for the first time, not wide, not showy, just enough to show he wasn't done. Reggie attacked again, but this time Malik fought back. Not just dodging now, he jabbed, once to the side, another to the ribs, one more, to the chin. 3 strikes, 3 clean hits. Reggie backed off, gasping. The crowd began to shift some now, cheering the boy. "Let's go, Malik," someone yelled. Reggie's fans were growing quiet. The people weren't here to watch a king anymore, they were watching something else. A miracle, a storm, a ghost from the past. The old man outside the ring stepped closer. His eyes were wet now. "It's him. It has to be." That's Rashid's footwork. That balance, that silence before the storm. A woman beside him turned. You keep saying that. Who's Rashid? The old man closed his eyes for a second. A legend, a man who never lost, until they forced him out. Until Reggie's people ruined his name. The woman gasped. You think this boy is his son? The old man nodded slowly. And he's here for more than a fight. In the ring, Reggie was breaking. He couldn't understand how his fists that had crushed men twice Malik's size couldn't touch this boy. And every time Malik hit him, it wasn't just pain. It was shame, humiliation. Malik wasn't trying to destroy Reggie, was exposing him. Then, Reggie did something dangerous. In his rage, he threw an elbow. Illegal, sharp, fast. It hit Malik across the face. The crowd screamed. The referee rushed in and pushed Reggie back. What the hell are you doing? That's a foul. Malik dropped to one knee. Blood ran from his cheek, but his eyes, they didn't look scared. They looked disappointed. The referee looked at Malik. Do you want to stop? I'll disqualify him right now. Malik shook his head slowly. No, I want to finish. Reggie laughed, wiped his mouth, and shouted to the crowd. You see that? He can't take a real hit. But even as he said it, his voice cracked. He knew he was losing, not just the fight but the respect of everyone watching. The crowd was now divided, half angry at Reggie, half cheering for Malik, but one thing was clear, nobody was laughing anymore. The referee stepped back. Final warning, you break another rule, I stop this. Reggie nodded once, still breathing hard. Malik stood, wiped the blood from his face, and for the first time, his expression changed. His mouth tightened, his eyes burned. He stepped forward. Reggie tried to swing again, another wild punch. Malik caught it. He caught the punch. Not with power, but with timing. He stepped into it, used Reggie's momentum, and twisted his body. Reggie's whole weight moved past him, and he crashed hard into the corner of the ring. The crowd erupted. Malik turned slowly, and looked directly at Reggie. Don't fight with your fists, he said quietly. You fight with your soul. The bell rang. Round over. Reggie stayed on the ground in the corner. Stunned. The ref helped him sit up. Malik went back to his spot. Still alone, still calm, but now everyone in the room was standing. Phones still up, but no one was speaking. They were watching history, watching something they couldn't explain. And as the old man at ringside whispered to himself, Rashid's son has come to finish what was stolen, the screen fades to black. A single message appears. The bell had rung. Round 2 was over, but no one moved. The air inside the gym felt heavy, like the whole crowd was holding its breath. Malik stood in his corner, face bruised and bleeding slightly, but his chest calm. He looked like a boy who had fought many times before, but not with his fists. He looked like someone who had survived battles nobody had seen. Reggie sat slumped in the opposite corner, breathing like a man trapped underwater. Sweat poured from his face. His coach was screaming at him again, shaking his shoulders. You're stronger than this. Get up. This kid is making you look like a joke. But Reggie didn't answer. His fists were still clenched, but something had changed. The anger in his eyes had shifted. Now there was fear. Not of losing, but of being seen. People in the crowd started whispering. Some even stopped. Recording this didn't feel like entertainment anymore. It felt like a story that wasn't meant to be seen. A truth rising from the ashes. The old man in the tracksuit leaned against the edge of the ring, staring at Malik. Rashid's footwork, Rashid's calm, Rashid's silence. This is his blood. A younger man next to him whispered, but how? Rashid disappeared after that scandal. No one ever saw him again. The old man shook his head. He was betrayed. Set up, forced out of the sport. And I bet my life Reggie had something to do with it. Meanwhile, inside the ring, my eyes stayed on Reggie. He didn't blink. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply stood, fists by his sides, waiting. The crowd wasn't shouting anymore. They were watching like they were inside a dream. The referee looked at both fighters. This is the last round. He warned, you fight clean, or I end it. Understand? Malik nodded once. Reggie didn't respond. The bell rang again. Round 3. Reggie got up slowly. His body hurt, but his pride hurt more. He had never felt this kind of pressure, not in a ring, not from a kid, not from someone who had no name, no record, no team, just presence. Reggie threw a jab. Malik dodged with a simple lean. He didn't even lift his hands. He just moved like he knew the rhythm of Reggie's body. Reggie tried again, a hook to the ribs. Malik blocked it this time, not with power, but with positioning. Reggie pulled it back, shocked. The boy was reading him like a book. Malik stepped forward now. His movements got sharper. One jab to the chest, another to the side. A third lightning fast clipped Reggie's chin. It wasn't powerful, but it shook Reggie's mind. He stepped back, almost tripping. The crowd gasped. A few people stood up in disbelief. That kid, he's not just fighting, he's controlling the whole ring. Reggie stumbled back into the ropes, gasping. Malik didn't attack. Instead, he said something for the first time in the round. You're not the real fighter. My father was. Reggie froze. His face changed. The words hit him like a punch to the heart. The referee looked confused. What did he say? But Reggie knew exactly what Malik meant. And the truth of it was heavier than any glove. You're Rashid's son, he whispered. Malik didn't answer. He didn't have to. Reggie's eyes dropped to the mat. Memories flashed through his head. Of a young Rashid Fester, smarter, better than anyone. Of a rising star who was loved by the crowd. A man with pride, with humility. A man Reggie could never defeat in the ring, so he defeated him outside it. Reggie had helped spread the lie, the accusation, the rumor about Rashid using illegal drugs. It wasn't true, but it worked. Rashid had been banned, erased from boxing, and Reggie rose in his place, took his spotlight, took his fans. And now his son stood in front of him, fighting not just with fists, but with truth. Reggie's arms dropped a little. He looked lost. Malik didn't slow down. Another jab, a dodge. A short, clean strike to Reggie's temple. It wasn't violent, it was surgical. Like he knew exactly how to cut through pride. Reggie staggered. His knees wobbled. The crowd screamed, but not in anger now. In awe. This boy was rewriting history with every punch. But Malik stopped again. You laughed at me, he said quietly. Like you laughed at my father. You stole his name. But I'm taking it back. Reggie raised his arms again. Weakly, I didn't know. Malik stepped forward. Now you do. He struck once more. One solid punch to the center of Reggie's chest. It wasn't hard, but it was heavy with meaning. Reggie fell straight to his knees. Not knocked out, but crushed inside. The referee moved to count, but Reggie waved his hand. I'm done, he whispered. The ref froze. You're giving up? Reggie nodded, his voice shaking. I'm not the fighter people thought I was. The gym went dead silent. Phones were still filming, but no one cheered. No one clapped. Everyone was frozen in time. Malik stood over him, not smiling, not angry, just still. The old man at ringside stepped closer. He looked up at Malik. Your father was a hero, he said softly, and you fight like him. Malik looked down at Reggie. You made people forget my father. I made them remember. Reggie lowered his head. The referee raised Malik's hand. No music, no celebration, just truth. Just silence. The crowd watched as Malik stepped out of the ring with no team, no bag, no medals, just himself, just his story, and the silence behind him was louder than any applause. Back in the ring, Reggie sat alone, tears on his face. The crowd didn't mock him, they didn't cheer either, they were just quiet, because something greater than a fight had taken place. Something real, and everyone there knew, they'd never forget it. As Malik walked out of the gym, the night sky greeted him, cool, dark, peaceful. He looked up, closed his eyes, and whispered, I did it, Baba. From the shadows, the old man followed him. Wait, he called softly. Malik turned. I trained your father. I'd like to train you if you'll let me. Malik paused, then nodded once. The story wasn't over. It had just begun. And in the heart of the city, a new fighter was born, not with fame, not with money, but with purpose. Malik walked down the cracked sidewalk, his hands bruised, his cheeks still stinging from Reggie's illegal elbow. The city lights shimmered ahead, but his mind was somewhere else, back in the ring. Back in the moment he had looked Reggie in the eyes and made him kneel. He didn't feel proud. He didn't feel famous. He felt something deeper. He felt like a storm had passed through him. Behind him, the old man followed quietly, a gym bag over his shoulder, his shoes soft on the pavement. You walk like your father, he said gently, like the street belongs to you, like you're not afraid of what's coming. Malik stopped walking. He turned and looked at the man. You said you trained him. The old man nodded. I trained Rashid when he was your age, before the world turned against him. Did he lose? Malik asked. Ever? The old man smiled sadly. Not in the ring. Outside it, yes. Then I want to know everything, Malik said. From the beginning they sat on a concrete bench near the park. The old man opened his bag and pulled out a photo. It was black and white. Two men stood side by side, one of them tall, lean, full of pride, Rashid. The other was the old man, years younger. He was more than a fighter, he said. He had something most men never understand. Purpose, not just power. But they feared that. Who? Malik asked. Who feared him? The old man leaned back, his face hardening. The people who owned the fights. The men in suits who didn't want someone like Rashid, someone poor, someone honest, a legend. So they created a lie. The drug test, Malik whispered. The old man nodded. It was fake. Planted, everyone knew, but no one said a word. Reggie was a rising star then, hungry for the spotlight. He kept quiet. He stepped in as Rashid stepped out, and no one looked back. Until now, Malik said. The old man looked at him carefully. What you did tonight, people will remember it, but it won't be easy from here. You shook a foundation that was built on lies. Malik looked up at the stars, then let it fall. The old man nodded slowly. All right, then training begins tomorrow. No ring, no camera, no crowd, just truth. Like your father taught me. Malik nodded. The next morning, they met at a broken-down gym on the edge of the city. The walls were cracked. The bags were torn. The smell of sweat from years ago still clung to the air. But it had a soul. It felt like a place where real fighters were born. Malik stepped inside, barefoot as always. The old man tossed him a towel and a bottle of water. You'll learn everything, he said. No shortcuts, no lies. Just fight. And so it began, day after day, hour after hour. Malik trained, not with heavy machines or cameras around, but with rhythm, footwork, breath. The old man didn't talk much. He let Malik fall, let him fail, but never let him quit. Fist is nothing without timing, he said. Power is nothing without purpose. We don't fight for belts here. We fight for meaning. Malik listened and learned. His bruises healed, his muscles strengthened, his eyes sharpened, but his silence remained. He wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing justice. One day, after a long session, Malik sat on the mat, exhausted. The old man handed him a worn envelope. Your father left this, he said. Gave it to me the day he disappeared. Malik opened it slowly. Inside was a letter written in faded ink. My son, if you ever step into the ring, don't do it to win. Do it to remind them who we are. Remind them what they tried to erase. And never forgets, silence is stronger than noise. You don't have to roar to be heard. Malik held the letter tightly. His chest burned, not from pain but from love. He had never heard his father's voice. But now, through paper and memory, it echoed inside him. Outside the gym, things were changing. Videos of the fight had gone viral. Malik's name, once unknown, was now whispered in gyms, streets, and online chats. People called him the Ghost's son. Some praised him, others doubted. But no one ignored him. Reggie, meanwhile, had vanished. No interviews, no statements, no fights. Sponsors were pulling away. His silence became louder than Malik. Fists. End. In the middle of it all, something unexpected happened. A man in a black suit visited the old gym. He stood at the doorway, watching Malik train. His face was calm, but his eyes sharp. The old man walked up. We don't need suits here, he said. The man smiled coldly. You need to think bigger. This boy, he can be a star. We have contracts, sponsors. He doesn't need to waste his time in this old shack. Malik stepped forward. I don't want sponsors. The man's smile faded. That's a mistake. You have talent. You can sell tickets. You can be bigger than your father ever was. Malik looked him in the eye. My father wasn't a product. The man stared back, silent for a moment. Then he dropped something on the ground. A photo, Rashid in handcuffs. Malik bent down slowly and picked it up. This was the end of him. The man said, Do you want that to be your ending too? Malik looked at the photo. Then tore it in half. I'm not here for fame, he said. I'm here for truth. The man walked away without another word, but the warning was clear. They were watching now. The people who controlled the game, who once destroyed Rashid, and now feared his son. That night, the old man locked the gym doors tighter. He stood by the window, watching the street, as Malik slept on the gym floor beside his father's letter. The past was awake again, and the future was knocking. But Malik didn't dream of crowds. He didn't dream of belts. He dreamed of one thing, redemption, and the next day he trained harder than ever, because he knew this fight was far from over. The gym was quiet, except for the sound of fists hitting leather. Malik's hands moved with more precision now, faster, sharper. Every jab, every step, every dodge came with purpose. He wasn't just training anymore, he was transforming. The old man, who had once trained his father, stood with arms crossed, watching closely. He didn't interrupt much, only gave Malik nods, corrections, and silence when needed. It was in that silence where Malik grew. Day by day, word of him spread. Further, in boxing circles, in underground forums, even in gyms run by those who once worked to destroy Rashid's name. The whispers were growing. The boy's real. He's not doing this for fame. He fights like he's carrying someone else's heart in his chest. But outside the gym, not everyone was cheering. Reggie Razor Knox hadn't spoken publicly since the day Malik made him fall. His name had become a joke online. Memes, edits, clips of him missing every punch while Malik danced around him went viral. Reggie's sponsors dropped him. His fights were cancelled. His fans turned silent. He watched Malik's name rise from behind closed curtains, his jaw clenched in shame. But what burned most wasn't the fall, it was the truth. The truth that he had stolen a career, a name, a future, from Rashid. Now, his son was rising from the ashes. In the early morning hours, Malik stood in front of a mirror in the gym. His knuckles were red, his face still marked. He touched the scar from Reggie's elbow and breathed slowly. He didn't care about the online buzz. He didn't care about Reggie. He cared about the silence in his father's absence, the silence he had lived with his whole life. The old man entered with 2 small bags. Put these on, he said. Inside were proper gloves and mouth gear. You've earned the next step. Malik took them without a word and wrapped his hands. The old man nodded. You're going to fight again, but this time, not in the streets. Malik's eyes met his. A tournament. The old man nodded. Small, quiet, but real. Fighters from real gyms. Not showmen, not bullies. You win here, people won't be able to ignore you anymore, and you'll be on the path your father was meant to finish. Malik looked down at the gloves, then back up, and the old man smiled. Tonight, by evening, the air around the small warehouse gym was electric. Not a big crowd, just enough coaches, fighters, a few reporters. This was not a viral fight. This was the old school. Real stakes, real skill. Malik stepped in with no team, just the old man behind him, holding the towel and water. People stared. That's him, someone whispered. The street kid who beat Reggie. He doesn't look like much, said another. I heard he doesn't even talk. In the locker room, Malik sat quietly while his name was called. The old man wrapped his hands again. This isn't like the last fight, he said. These boys know how to fight. They're trained. But none of them are fighting with your reason. Malik nodded once. He didn't need speeches. He needed the bell. When he stepped into the ring, his opponent was already there. Taller, older, a boxer with a sharp jaw and fast feet. Malik heard his name, Jaden the Jet Car. From the announcer, Jaden had trained at one of the city's top gyms. No viral fame, just years of discipline. The bell rang. First round. Malik didn't rush. He let Jaden move first. The older boy danced around him, testing, jabbing lightly. Malik watched, waited, counted. The first real punch came fast. Jaden swung left. Malik stepped inside and countered. A clean hit to the ribs. Jaden blinked, surprised. The crowd stirred. He's not slow. Jaden came again, this time faster, angrier. Malik dodged. Another jab. Another dodge. Then Malik struck twice. One to the cheek, one to the chest. Jaden backed up, his smile fading. Malik's face didn't change. He wasn't showing off. He was working. The old man watched from the corner, whispering to himself. He fights like a shadow. Second round, Jaden changed strategy. He got aggressive. He tried to corner Malik. He landed one solid hit. Malik's head jerked to the side, blood in his mouth. The crowd leaned in. Was this where the ghost sun would fall? Malik blinked, breathed, then smiled just a little, and moved forward. Jaden punched again, missed. Malik slipped inside the gap. Two fast punches, one to the stomach, one to the chin. Jaden stumbled. The crowd shouted. Malik stayed calm. No celebration, no anger. Just rhythm. Third round. Jaden was sweating now. His movements were slower. Malik's were not. He cut angles, used silence, dodged and struck like water. Then came the moment, a perfect counter. Jaden swung wild. Malik ducked, stepped in, and landed a punch so fast the camera almost missed it. Jaden dropped flat. The ref began to count. The crowd was standing. The old man didn't move. Jaden didn't get up. The count ended. Malik won. The gym erupted, but Malik didn't raise his hands. He turned and walked to his corner, sat down, and exhaled later. As he walked out with the old man beside him, someone stopped him near the exit. A woman in a dark blue jacket. Not a fan, not a reporter. Her eyes were sharp. I knew your father, she said softly. He fought something bigger than boxing. Malik nodded. I know. She handed him a card, a news agency, a logo. Call me when you're ready to tell the real story, she said, and then she walked away. The old man watched her leave. Trouble, he muttered. Malik held the card tightly, not sure what it meant yet, but knowing a new round had just begun. The city felt different now. Malik walked through the same streets, but people looked at him differently. Shopkeepers nodded. Strangers whispered his name. In just a few weeks, the boy who had been laughed at was now being watched, not because of fame, but because of something stronger, something deeper. Truth. Malik didn't smile about it. He didn't celebrate. Every fight, every punch, every scar reminded him of the man who had once carried his name with pride and lost everything. He knew this journey wasn't just about winning fights. It was about reclaiming what had been stolen. After his victory at the underground match, the woman from the news agency hadn't shown up again, but her card stayed in Malik's pocket. Her words stayed louder in his head than any crowd's cheer. He fought something bigger than boxing. That morning, the old man brought Malik to a quiet place outside the city. It was a field with worn grass, half a ring painted on the ground with chalk. The air smelled like sweat and old stories. There were no spectators, just a young boy waiting with gloves already on, and his coach behind him. Malik looked at the old man. This is where your father used to train in silence, the old man said. No lights, no noise, just heart. Today you learned something else. You've got power. Now you need patience. The sparring began. The boy wasn't weak. He was fast, clever, and learned from every mistake. Malik wasn't trying to knock him out. He was learning rhythm, control, mastery. For hours he trained under the sun. The old man didn't give praise, only corrections. And when the day ended, Malik was covered in dust and sweat. But something in his movements had changed. More grounded, more focused. Later that evening, Malik and the old man returned to the gym. As they walked in, they saw someone waiting inside. A tall man in a long coat, his face hidden in shadow. The old man stopped cold. His body tensed. What are you doing here? The old man asked. The man stepped forward, slowly removing his hood. It was Reggie Knox, but not the same. He looked tired. His eyes were red, his face thinner. I didn't come to fight, Reggie said quietly. I came to talk. Malik didn't speak. He stared straight at him. I lost everything, Reggie said. Sponsors, matches. But that's not why I came. The old man narrowed his eyes. Then why? Reggie looked at Malik. Because I need to say something to you. To your face. Malik took a step forward. Reggie raised his hands not to fight, but to surrender. I destroyed your father, he said. Not just in the ring. Outside of it, I lied. I said he was using drugs. Said he cheated. Paid people to confirm it. I did it because I couldn't beat him clean. The gym went silent. Malik's jaw tightened. Reggie kept going. I was scared. Your father had something I didn't honor. He didn't just fight for himself. He fought for people who looked like him, for people who were ignored. I took that from him. And I've lived with that shame every single day. The old man stared in shock. He had waited years to hear this truth. Reggie turned to Malik. When I saw you in that ring, I knew. He was still here. In you. Malik didn't blink. Didn't speak. I don't expect forgiveness, Reggie said. But I wanted you to know the truth. He pulled out a small drive from his pocket. It's all on here. Documents, proof, interviews, the people I paid. He handed it to Malik. Do whatever you want with it. I'm done hiding. And then Reggie walked out. No cameras, no crowd, just silence. Malik looked at the drive in his hand. The old man stepped beside him, still stunned. He gave up everything. To do that, Malik finally spoke. Then maybe someone else will believe it too. Later that night, Malik sat alone in the gym. He plugged in the drive and watched video after video, read file after file. Every document proved the same thing: his father was innocent. Reggie had set him up. The Federation had helped. The media had lied. The anger came like a wave. Malik slammed the laptop shut. But then something else rose inside him, not just rage, a fire, a plan. He picked up the phone and called the number on the news. Agency card. The woman answered after one ring. This is Malik, he said. I'm ready. The next day, the interview was recorded in a small studio. No glitz, no drama, just truth. Malik told the full story. About his father, about Reggie, about what boxing took and what he was now trying to give back. The reporter listened carefully. She didn't interrupt. When Malik handed over the drive, she took it like it was gold. 2 days later, the story went live. The headline read, "The boxer who was framed and the son who returned to finish his fight." The video exploded. Within hours. It was everywhere. TV channels, news sites, social media. The world heard Rashid's name again, but this time with honor. And the world saw Malik not just as a fighter, but as the truth. His father never got to speak. People started calling real boxing. Organizations, sports journalists, activists, even former boxers who had been quiet for years. But with fame came danger too. That night, a brick flew through the gym's window. It hit the ground with a loud crash. Attached was a note. Stop digging into the past. Or else. Malik stared at it. The old man picked it up and read it slowly. There. Scared, he whispered. Malik didn't flinch. They should be. The gym smelled like broken glass and fear. But Malik wasn't afraid. He stood in the middle of the ring as the old man swept up pieces of the shattered window. The brick still sat in the corner, its threat loud even in silence. But something inside Malik had changed. He wasn't just a boy fighting for pride anymore. Now, he was fighting for a name, a legacy, and truth. They were trying to silence him, just like they did to his father. But he wasn't going anywhere. By evening, police had come to take photos and file a report, but Malik knew nothing would happen. The note didn't have fingerprints. No one saw anything. The officer left with a shrug and a half-hearted warning. Maybe it's best to move on. Don't stir the past too much. That made Malik angrier. He looked at the old man. They think fear will stop me. The old man didn't answer. He placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. Your father didn't bend, even when they tried to break him. You carry his blood, but you carry your own fire too. Just be careful. Fire burns both ways. The next morning, Malik received a call. It was from a boxing promoter, real one, not underground, not corrupt. We saw the interview. The man said there's a youth tournament next month. Big names, clean stage, cameras. If you fight there and win, the world won't forget you. Malik paused. What's the catch? The man chuckled. No catch. Just a chance to let your fists speak on a stage that matters. Malik agreed, but he didn't tell the old man right away. He went back into training, harder than ever. Each jab was sharper, each round faster. The old man noticed the shift. You're holding something, he said during one session. What is it? Malik wiped sweat from his brow. There's a tournament, big clean 1 month. The old man blinked, then nodded slowly. That's fast. Malik didn't smile. They won't wait for me to be ready, so I'll make ready now. Every day was a war. Not just with opponents, but with Malik's own body. Bruises turned to deep muscle aches. His knuckles bled. His breathing grew tighter, but he didn't stop. Meanwhile, the video of his story kept climbing in views. More reporters came to the gym. Some were genuine. Others were hungry for drama. One evening, as the sun set through the broken window, Malik received a letter. Handwritten. No name. Just one sentence. Your father's story isn't the only one they buried. Malik showed it to the old man. He studied it carefully. There were others. The old man finally said, before your father. Fighters who came close to the truth. Men who disappeared. Malik's eyes narrowed. Then we find them. Together, they started digging. Old news archives, underground forums, retired trainers. One name kept appearing. Isaiah Cross, a fighter. From 2 decades ago. Powerful, respected, then suddenly banned for unsportsmanlike behavior. No one heard from him again. Find Isaiah, the old man said. If he's alive, he knows things. We don't. Tracking Isaiah was not easy, but Malik got a lighter rural address for hours outside the city. The next day Malik and the old man drove out together. The road twisted through dusty hills and fading signs. They stopped in front of a small shack, overgrown with weeds. A rusted chain hung on the gate. Malik stepped out, knocked on the door, no answer. He knocked again. Louder, footsteps, slow. Then the door creaked open. An older man stood there. His beard was gray, and his eyes sharp. Who are you? Malik Rashid, he said. Son of Rashid Malik. Silence. Then the man stepped aside. Come in. The inside was dark but filled with photos, boxing photos. Trophies and boxes. News clippings yellowed with time. I knew your father, Isaiah said. All did. They erased you, Malik said quietly. Isaiah's eyes flashed. They tried, but truth doesn't die, it just waits. He sat down and pulled out an old journal. It wasn't just about your father. The system's been dirty for decades. The same officials, the same deals. If a fighter got too loud, too proud, they buried him. Malik leaned forward. Why didn't you speak? Isaiah looked away. I did. They made sure no one listened. Isaiah handed over a box filled with documents, recordings, even letters from other fighters. This is what I've collected. It's not just a fight anymore. It's a war. As they left, Isaiah stopped Malik at the door. Make sure you're not fighting for revenge, boy. Make sure you're fighting for justice, because revenge can poison even the cleanest hands. Malik nodded. Back at the gym, they went through the files. The old man's hands trembled as he read names he hadn't heard in years. This changes everything. But, just as they began preparing to share it with the reporter, something happened. Late that night, someone broke into the gym. They didn't steal anything. They just burned everything. The documents, the photos, the history. Flames ate through years of truth. By the time Malik and the old man arrived, the fire trucks had already come and gone. The gym still stood, but barely. Black smoke curled up into the night sky. Malik stepped into the ashes. The box from Isaiah gone, his fists clenched. The old man coughed beside him, tears in his eyes. They knew they were watching us. Malik didn't speak. He looked up at the stars and swore. They tried to bury him. Now they're trying to bury me. But I'll show the world you can't bury truth forever. The smell of smoke still hung in the air. It had been 2 days since the fire. But Malik felt like his lungs were full of ash and his mind full of questions. The gym was quiet. The old man sat in the corner with a burnt photograph in his hands. It was the only thing that survived, the one of Malik's father. In the ring, fists raised high. Malik paced. They wanted to scare us, he said. They think fire will stop me. They think destroying that box from Isaiah means the truth is gone. The old man shook his head slowly. It means they're afraid. If they weren't scared, they wouldn't have lit the match. Malik's fists clenched. Then we hit back. No, the old man said sharply. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight it with light. Show the world what they don't want seen. But we lost the evidence. We still have you. Those words sat heavy in the room. Malik looked at the mirror. His face was bruised. His knuckles raw. His eyes tired but steady. He had the fight next week. The biggest ring he'd ever step into. A national youth tournament with cameras, sponsors, and scouts. And he was no longer just a kid with a dream. He was a storm they couldn't silence. But deep inside, fear still whispered. Not of punches or pain but of failure. What if the system crushed him too? The old man came over and placed a small object in Malik's hand. It was a pendant, worn copper with initials carved into it. RM. Your father wore this in every fight, he said. It reminded him of why he started when the world wanted him to stop. Malik closed his fist around it. He didn't speak, but his heart answered. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. He walked alone to the ruins of the small library across town, one of the few places where he remembered his father reading to him as a child. The windows were boarded now. Time had forgotten this place, but memories hadn't. He sat on the steps and pulled out his phone. The fight was a week away, and then, an idea struck him. The truth didn't just have to live in papers or boxes, it could live in voices. He opened the camera app, turned it toward himself, and began to speak. This isn't about me anymore, he said to the lens. It's about everyone who was pushed down, silenced, or erased because they weren't useful to someone's system. He told his father's story again, but this time, slower, with more weight, more clarity. He spoke about Isaiah Cross, about the box that was burned, about the threats, the fear, the fire. But also about hope. I'm not asking you to fight with your fists. I'm asking you to fight with your eyes. See what they don't want seen. And when I step into that ring next week, I won't be fighting alone. He hit upload. The next morning, his phone exploded with notifications. The video was going viral again. But this time, it wasn't just sympathy. It was movement. Other fighters began speaking up. Parents, coaches, even a few retired officials. #spread. #let 'em fight. #truth in the ring. #Rashid. Legacy. A podcast invited Malik to speak. A youth activist group offered him legal help. And most shocking is that Cross called again. I made copies, he said. I never trust one box. Malik smiled. They met again, this time in a park, away from any ears. Isaiah handed him a second box titter, smaller, but full of truth. Deliver this when the moment's right. Not before. Malik nodded. But not everyone was happy. The fight's organizer, Mr. Halverson, called him in for a private talk. The office was big. Cold, glass windows looked over the city like a man watching ants. You've caused quite a stir, Malik Halverson said, sipping his coffee. I didn't set the fire, Malik said calmly. Double quotes, no. But fires follow you. Attention, too. Not all of it welcome. What are you saying? I'm saying there's a spotlight on this tournament now. Sponsors are nervous. Press will be there. Cameras everywhere. And they don't want a scandal. Malik leaned forward. If you're asking me to drop out, say it straight. Halverson smiled to calm. Too cold, I'm saying, if you do fight, and you win, you'd better not say a word that makes my event look like a political circus. I won't let this become your personal stage. Malik stood. Then make sure I don't win. He walked out, heart pounding. The old man was waiting in the car. Malik sat beside him, hands shaking. They tried the polite threat this time. The old man didn't ask what was said. He could see it in Malik's face. Then you know what you have to do, he said. Malik took a deep breath. I'm ready. The next few days were a blur. The gym was cleaned up but empty. No more interviews. No distractions. Just sweat and silence. Malik didn't train like a boy anymore. He moved like a storm, focused, fast, and full of fire. When the day of the fight came, the city buzzed. News vans, crowds, protest signs, supporters, haters. Malik stepped into the building wearing the same jacket his father wore 20 years ago, the pendant around his neck, Isaiah's box in his bag. The locker room was cold. Echoes bounced off the tile. His opponent, Jermaine the Cobra Tate. Fast, flashy, undefeated, with sponsors and swagger. But Malik wasn't afraid as he wrapped his hands. He remembered every night spent crying after sparring, every time someone called him too small, too soft, too poor, every bruise, every insult. Every time they told him his father was a liar. The bell rang. It was time. The ring lights were blinding. The crowd roared. Cameras flashed. Jermaine danced out first, punching the air, smirking at fans. Malik stepped out slower, but his eyes never blinked. The announcers shouted their names. The referee checked their gloves. Then ding. Round 1 began, and within seconds Jermaine struck. Fast. Malik dodged. Another jab. Missed. Malik didn't swing yet. He was studying. Jermaine smirked. You scared already, Rashid Jr.? But Malik saw something, a rhythm, a pause after Jermaine's third combo. He waited, watched, and when the next set of punches flew, he ducked and landed a clean hook to Jermaine's jaw. The crowd gasped, and in that moment, the crowd that had been buzzing, mocking, laughing, went silent. The crowd's sudden silence was like a sharp knife cutting through the noise. Malik felt the weight of every eye on him. His heart pounded like thunder, but his mind was calm, focused. The first punch had landed clean, surprising Jermaine, and everyone watching. Jermaine's smirk disappeared. He tightened his jaw, shook off the hit, and nodded respect mingled with anger. The bell rang for round 2. Malik's muscles ached, but his spirit soared. This fight was more than just a match. It was a battle for truth, for his father, for himself. As the fighters met in the center again, Jermaine came with a flurry of punches, each faster than the last. Malik blocked, dodged, and countered with skill he had honed through months of grueling training. The crowd began to whisper, then cheer. They saw something different in Malik, a boy who fought not just with fists, but with heart. In the third round, Malik took a hard blow to the ribs. He stumbled but didn't fall. He remembered the old man's words. Fist is nothing without timing. Power is nothing without purpose. Gathering his strength, Malik launched a precise combination 1, 2, 3 and watched Jermaine's eyes widen. Jermaine faltered, almost knocked down. The referee leaned in, ready to count, but Jermaine raised his gloves, fighting back fiercely. The fight became a dance of wills. Every punch Malik threw carried a story of lost dreams, broken promises, and a fight for justice. The crowd was on its feet. The tension thickened with each round. At the start of round 5, Malik saw a flash in Jermaine's eyes. Dashed out. It was his moment. He feinted left, then struck right, landing a powerful uppercut. Jermaine went down. The arena held its breath. The referee began the count. 1, 2, 3. Jermaine struggled, trying to rise, but his legs shook. At the count of 8, Jermaine got to one knee. Malik stepped back, breathing heavily, but ready. The referee asked if Jermaine wanted to continue. Jermaine nodded, determination flashing. The fight went on, but Malik was ready for the final rounds. He fought with everything he had. When the final bell rang, the crowd erupted. Judges' scorecards were read aloud. Malik won by unanimous decision. The crowd cheered wildly, but Malik didn't celebrate. Instead, he stood silent, eyes closed, thinking of his father. Then the announcer raised Malik's hand. The old man smiled from the sidelines, tears in his eyes. As Malik left the ring, reporters crowded around. One asked, "What will you do next?" Malik looked up calm but fierce. "I will keep fighting, not just for me, but for every voice that was silenced." Suddenly, a woman's voice called from the crowd, "Malik, we want to hear the truth." The crowd hushed. Malik took a deep breath. He stepped to the microphone and began to speak. About the lies that ruined his father, about the corruption in the sport, about the fighters who disappeared. His words echoed through the arena. Some listened, some gasped, others looked away, but no one could ignore him. After the speech, Malik was surrounded by reporters, supporters, and challengers. And then came a quiet voice behind him. "Malik, you're brave, but this is only the beginning." He turned. It was Isaiah Crossed. The old fighter smiled. Proud. Malik nodded together. They knew the fight was far from over. Outside the arena, shadows moved, enemies watched, threats lingered. But Malik was ready. He had won the fight in the ring. Now he was fighting for justice in the world. The days after the big fight were a whirlwind. Malik's phone kept ringing. Messages poured in. Some were kind, others were warnings. The world had finally seen what he could do, but more importantly, they heard his voice, the truth behind the gloves. Despite the praise, Malik felt a heaviness. He knew the real battle was only starting. The powerful men who had buried his father's name were not going to give up. The fire that had burned the gym was a message. The threats, the broken windows, the silent stares, they were all part of a plan to stop him. One afternoon, as Malik trained in the new gym the old man had helped build, his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered, voice steady. "Malik, Rashid." The voice was cold, controlled. "This is Mr. Caldwell." Malik's heart quickened. "I represent certain interests in the Boxing Federation. We've been watching you. Your recent interview. Your fights, you're stirring up trouble." "I'm just telling the truth," Malik said firmly. "Truth," Caldwell sneered, "can be expensive. You should think about your future. For your own good." Malik clenched his fists. "What do you want?" "Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m., no cameras." Malik hung up. He showed the old man the phone. The old man frowned. "This is the deep end." The next day, Malik arrived at a sleek building downtown. The lobby was quiet. The air smelled of polished wood and cold ambition. He was led to a room where Caldwell waited. Older, sharp suit, colder eyes. Caldwell didn't waste time. "We can make this easier for you." Malik shook his head. "No deals." Caldwell smiled thinly. "You're stubborn, like your father, but stubbornness can break bones." Malik's eyes burned. "I'm not here to break. I'm here to fight." Caldwell leaned forward. "Then, you leave us no choice." Before Malik could respond, a loud crash echoed from the hall. Security rushed in. A group of masked protesters stormed the building, chanting slogans against corruption and injustice in sports. Chaos erupted. Caldwell snarled, "This isn't over." Malik slipped away during the confusion. Back at the gym, Malik and the old man reviewed the files from Isaiah again. "We need allies," the old man said. "People who believe in the cause." Malik nodded. They reached out to retired fighters, activists, journalists, and even some honest officials willing to stand. Slowly, a network formed, but the deeper they dug, the darker the secrets got. Night. Malik received a call, his mother's voice, trembling. "Malik, someone was at the house. They left a message." Malik's blood ran cold. The message was a chilling warning. "Stop, or she pays." Malik felt anger and fear crash together. He wasn't alone anymore. He had a family, and he had a mission. The tournament was weeks away. Malik trained harder than ever. Every punch carried the weight of his father's dream and the safety of those he loved. On the night before the tournament, Malik sat alone. Holding his father's pendant, he whispered, "This fight is for you." The next day, as Malik stepped into the ring once again, the crowd roared louder than before. The fight wasn't just for victory. It was for justice. For truth. For the legacy that no one could take away. The day of the tournament arrived like a storm on the horizon. Malik woke up before dawn, his body heavy but his mind sharp. This fight was different. It wasn't just another match. It was the climax of years of pain, struggle, and hope. In the locker room, the tension was thick. Fighters from all over the country prepared in silence or with quiet words. Malik sat alone, wrapping his hands, feeling the weight of his father's pendant around his neck. The old man sat nearby, his eyes full of pride and worry. "Remember," he said softly, "this is more than fists. This is heart." Malik nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. When his name was called, the roar of the crowd hit him like thunder. The arena was packed, cameras flashing, lights blinding. But Malik's focus was laser sharp. His opponent was a champion from the National League, known for his strength and speed. The crowd whispered, doubting the boy who had risen from the ashes. The bell rang. Round one was fierce. Malik took hits, but kept moving, countering with precision. The champion was surprised by Malik's technique and heart. As the rounds passed, Malik's confidence grew. He remembered the faces of those who had doubted him, the threats, the fire, the losses. Then, in the middle rounds, Malik saw an opening. The champion dropped his guard for a split second. Malik struck. A perfect jab followed by a powerful hook. The champion staggered. The crowd gasped. The champion tried to recover, but Malik pressed on. The fight became a test of wills. Sweat and blood mixed in the bright lights. The final round arrived. Malik, exhausted but unbroken, summoned every ounce of strength. He threw a combination so fast and precise, it took the champion by surprise. The champion fell. The referee began the count. 1, 2, 3. The champion didn't rise. The arena erupted. Malik had done it. He was the new champion. But as the crowd cheered, Malik's eyes searched for the old man. He saw him standing, tears streaming down his face. Malik raised his fists, not for glory, but for justice. As he left the ring, a familiar voice whispered behind him, "Your fight has only just begun." Malik turned. It was the woman from the news agency. She held a folder. Inside were documents that could change everything. "Are you ready for the next step?" she asked. Malik took the folder, feeling the weight of the battle ahead. Outside, the crowd continued to cheer, but Malik knew the real fight for truth, for his family, for honor, was still waiting. The folder in Malik's hands felt heavier than any punch he had ever taken. It wasn't just paper. It was the truth, evidence that could expose the corruption, the lies, and the secrets buried for decades. It was the key to finally clear his father's name and change the sport forever. He sat with the old man in the quiet gym, the city lights flickering outside. Both knew what this meant. The end of one fight, the start of another. The woman from the news agency Lara had promised protection, but Malik knew this battle would be harder than any opponent in the ring. They worked day and night. Malik shared the documents with trusted journalists and legal experts. Stories began to emerge. Names that once seemed untouchable, now questioned openly. The Boxing Federation was under investigation. Sponsors dropped. Officials resigned. But with every victory, the threats grew louder. Phone calls in the middle of the night. Strange cars following Malik's every move. A reminder that power fights back hard. One evening, Malik stood on the rooftop of the gym. The city sprawled beneath him. He clutched his father's pendant, feeling the weight of history and hope. He remembered the first time he stepped into the ring. The laughter, the doubt, and how every step since had been a fight, not just with fists, but with heart and truth. The final battle was near. The court hearing was set. Malik knew that here, in this room, words could be as powerful as punches. The day arrived. The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed. The old man sat beside Malik, steady as ever. The lawyers presented evidence. Witnesses testified. The corruption was laid bare. Malik listened carefully, heart pounding. When it was his turn, he stood. He spoke clearly, simply, about his father, about honor, about fighting for what's right. He looked into the eyes of those who doubted him and said, "This is not just my fight. It is for everyone silenced by lies." The judge nodded. After hours of tension, the verdict was read. Rashid, Malik's name was cleared. The crowd outside the courthouse cheered. Malik stepped out into the sunlight, feeling the weight lift from his shoulders. He knew this was more than a victory. It was a new beginning. The old man smiled beside him. "Your father would be proud." Malik looked at the sky. He whispered, "This is for you." The journey had started with laughter and doubt. It ended with silence, the silence of respect, honor, and truth. And Malik's name echoed forever as the boy who fought not just for himself, but for justice.